Mage Popp is the second banner for the Dragon Quest collaboration, and he is another range fire DPS like Lina. Before you summon on his banner, here is all you need to know about his overall kit, his PvE and PvP item builds, and later I will give my honest opinion if you should or should not summon on his banner. Let's go straight to his abilities. Popp has a party buff of range damage plus 50%. He also has skill damage plus 6% and plus 5% shield increase on battle start. We can immediately say that Mage Popp was a DPS character because of his party buff. Range damage is a great DPS party buff, you can definitely use it in any of the game contents. His normal attack is called continuous casting. Consumes mana to inflict range damage to enemies. His normal attack is very similar to Claude's normal attack. It has an attack bar, and only the last attack can pass through walls. You can use it in all contents, however, it might not efficient in arena, expedition and co-op due to the lack of AoE and attack wall blocking. His chain skill is called Medra. It is airborne to downed. Combines 2 spells into one and launches it to inflict 275% of DPS damage as range damage. His chain skill is a target lock skill, it is excellent for delaying the ailment status of the enemy. You can still hit the enemy even if the ailment status has expired. It is definitely usable in all of the game contents. His special ability is called Grand Sorcerer. Decrease damage taken during battle by 15% and on hit, increase range damage by 30% for 2 seconds. His special ability is very easy to activate. You only need to hit the enemy with a normal attacker skill. It is a good defense and damage buff, however, it might not be ideal in team battle contents. Now let's see his exclusive weapon. His exclusive weapon is called Black Rod and it's an epic staff. It has very high DPS stats. Even better than Camel's exclusive weapon. Also, it has good toughness stats. It has higher HP and defense compared to Future Princess's exclusive weapon. It is definitely usable in any of the game contents because of its high DPS and toughness stats. Its unique ability is increase continuous castings damage by 20%. The Meganti ability is added. It has great additional damage for his normal attack, but what I like about it is the additional skill. Meganti. Consume 40% of HP to inflict 320% of DPS as range damage and decrease damage taken by 30% for 3 seconds. This ability is only available for use when HP is below or equal to 30%. I think the skill description has an error in the translation. The skill only consumes 5% HP when you use it. I think it is a very strong skill, but it has a learning curve to get used to it. It is definitely usable in any of the game contents because of its high damage. It can save you in dire battles. His weapon skill is called Finger Flare Bombs. It is level 7. It has an attack of 250% DPS and a regen time of 8.5 seconds. Uses multiple Marazomas to inflict range damage to nearby enemies. Puts them in an airborne state. His weapon skill is very similar to Nari's weapon skill, but I think it is better because it can pass through walls. You can use it in every contents, but I will not recommend it to Colosseum because it has a high cooldown time and it cannot proc the chain skill in one go. Now let's analyze his overall kits. Based on our checklist, this is my recommendation. I think you can use him in story mode as the main or sub DPS in the team because of his high DPS. His skill also can pass through walls, so it is very useful to fight hiding caster enemies. I would say that you can also use him in arena. He is so good versus all earth element enemies. With his skill Meganti, he can turn the tide of the battle because of its enormous damage. He also can be an effective DPS in 3 vs 3 arena because he is a ranger character. I think he can be used in Colosseum as a sub DPS. He can be a good counter to Parvati. His skill Meganti is an AoE skill, he can damage multiple enemies when his HP drops to 30%. You can use him in raid type contents, but not the best in slot due to his ability and buffs. His ability and buffs focus only on himself, it is not good for a synergized party. You can use him in co-op because of his high DPS, but not the best in slot because his normal attack lacks AoE. You can use him in Camazin versus earth element enemies, and because he is a ranged character, he is a good DPS in any team composition. I think Mage Popp is a great character. His DPS is excellent and has an insane exclusive weapon ability. He is a very fun to play character, especially in arena. But the real question is, should I skip or summon? Here is my list of the reasons why you should skip or summon Mage Popp. Now let's go to the item builds. For a defensive build, your items should look like this. You can use it for story mode or any PvP contents. For accessories, use any high toughness accessory that has good skill damage and skill regen speed options. For cards, you can use 2 defense cards. You can also use 1 negate card for situational purposes. For merch, use Seal Goddess Snow Globe and make sure to max its level for the HP and defense stats. If you want to use him in Colosseum, you can use Ogma Plastic Model to deal more damage to the enemy tank. For Relic, use Relic that has HP, defense, and skill damage basic options, and you should enchant it with a crit hit multiplier for sub options. You can also enchant PvP damage if you plan to focus on PvP. For a DPS build, your items should look like this. You can use it for raid type contents. For accessories, if he is in the leader position, use accessories that have high skill damage and weapon skill regen speed options. For member positions, use accessories that have high crit hit chance and attack stats. For cards, if he is in the leader position, use skill damage cards. For member positions, use 2 pieces of attack cards. For merch, use ample Statue of Bravery or Invader Mothership replica, depending on the enemy HP. For Relic, use Relic that has attack, crit, and skill damage options, and make sure to enchant for a crit hit multiplier sub options. You can also enchant it with damage to boss monster if you are planning to focus on raids and rush. That's it for now, don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next video.